Okay, hi everyone, welcome back. And in this update, we are going to check out Jasmy's price chart. And before we see what is happening in the short term, let's go on some higher time frames first and check out the state of indicators. Okay, so what do we have? Okay, this is actually not that bad because we are having a buy signal in MACD, which is overall a fantastic sign. I'm going to tell you in a bit why. However, at the same time, we are having a sell signal in stock RSI, and this, pay attention, happened somewhere around the overbought region. So because of this sell signal in stock RSI, we may see either some more chopping around for the next, I don't know, maybe like couple of weeks, or maybe we are going to see yet another move on the downside. However, overall, as long as we are not having a sell signal in MACD, I do not believe that the move down that we may or may not get in Jasmy, it should be interpreted as like a very strong bearish sign. I think right now we need to be a bit optimistic, but at the same time, cautiously optimistic. Now, question, why is having a buy signal in MACD in weekly time frame such a big deal? Because let's check out the previous times that we got buy signals in here. Okay, the last time was, yes, right at this candlestick, about 2.6 cents. And what happened next? As you can see, as a result, we got about a 140% move on the upside. And let's check out the previous time that we got a buy signal. I believe it was, yes, right in here about, let's say, half a cent area. And what happened next? We got about a 700% move on the upside. So overall, as you can see, having buy signals in MACD in weekly time frame is definitely an optimistic sign. And pretty much in every single time that we saw a buy in MACD, we got, as a result of it, some big moves on the upside. That's why I care about this important signal. Now, what is going on in daily time frame? Okay, in stock RSI, we are having a buy signal already. However, as you can see in MACD, right now we are having a sell signal, but who knows, maybe soon that's going to change. But as long as we are not having a buy in here, I think we need to be a bit patient because, again, odds are you may see in the short term maybe like just another move on the downside. If you want to be very much bullish with a lot of confidence and at the same time you do not care about the short-term price action, and for example it's not really your concern what is going to happen in the next week or two in JasmyCoin, okay, I'm going to suggest just wait a little bit more and see buy signals in these two indicators at the same time, because that's going to be pretty much the ultimate bullish sign for you. Now, let's go on some lower time frames and see what is going on. So if you remember the last time that we talked about Jasmy, I believe we were right in here, and maybe it's best to go on like 30-minute time frame. And we said, okay, it seems like that in the short term, we may see yet another small move down, but followed by that, we expect yet another move on the upside. Why? Because in this initial move up off of the lowest low in Jasmy, we had a beautiful looking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave, which to us meant that this is probably the beginning of a move up. So what happened? We did kind of get a move down, but this move wasn't really that deep. And now I'm going to change some waves a bit. Okay, excuse me. Let's just delete this one. I'm going to say this was probably starting from here, an A, B, C structure. And do not worry, we are going to also check out some other possibilities. But for now, I'm going to say this thing is going to be my primary case. And what is happening from here to about the highs? Here is what's going on in my mind at the moment. I believe there's a very good argument to be made for Jasmy to have in here a 1, 2, and then probably 5 up into wave 3, correction for 4, and yet another move on the upside into wave 5. And by the way, the end of our wave 2 must be right in here. And again, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave up into wave 3. Now, overall, as you can see, so far we are having 2 sets of 5 waves. And this is very important, because if you want to argue that we're going to have our final low around here, maybe this is like a very important support, then okay, you need to show me off of the lowest low a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This specific example is an impulse. Rolls for it up. We should not have overlapping of the waves between wave 2 and 4, and in any kind of 5 wave, wave 3 should not be the smallest wave. It's a big no-no in Elliott's waves. And in terms of the sub waves, excuse me, let's just take this one again. 5 up into wave 1, 3, and 5. Okay. And for wave 2 and 4, we can have different counts. It's not really that important. Let's say, yeah, okay. ABC into 4 and the WXY into wave 2. Now, let's go on the live chart and see what is happening. And by the way, I actually forgot to tell you this. Sometimes you can have a correction up in form of an ABC zigzag, and the subwaves for it are like this. 5 up into A, correction for wave B, and yet another 5 wave on the upside into our C leg. And for wave B, let's say we're gonna have, I don't know, maybe like an ABC zigzag. Now let's go on the live chart and see what is happening. And again, like we said it earlier, so far we are having only 2 sets of 5 waves. Now, this means you are actually allowed to consider the possibility of having an A, B, C zigzag in JasmyCoin, meaning off of the lowest low, we are having generally a correction up and not an impulse. And well, this suggests that our move down, unfortunately, is not over yet. And in the short term, you may see yet another move in order to take the lowest low all the way down here, about 1.3 cents. And I want to be very clear. Even if we get this move down, overall, you are not going to see me being bearish in Jasmy, okay? On some higher degrees, when you go on daily or maybe weekly time frame, we are actually going to talk about that in the next update, which is going to come out, I think, in about 2-3 days. I am actually very optimistic, and I have kind of a hard time believing that our bull run is actually over. No, I think if we're going to have an alt season in this cycle, which I do believe we are going to have that, JasmyCoin will be one of the projects that is going to participate in that. So again, if we get another move down, it's not going to be a bad sign, but you know, in the short term, it is what it is. On the other hand, there's actually a bullish scenario in Jasmy going on in here, meaning we can say this is 5 up, sure, but this time it's going to be into a wave 1, followed by that running flat into wave 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into wave 3, correction for 4, another move up into wave 5. And based on this, I want to say right now in Jasmy, it's actually decision time. Why is that? You see, one way or the other, I am kind of a believer on a move on the downside. However, the move down is not really that important, okay? What really matters is the shape of the move. Why? Let's say, okay, we are going to have a consolidation pattern, a very slow and choppy move on the downside, and you are absolutely at that point able to identify overlapping of the waves between our pullbacks up constantly. Well, okay, that's just a clear-cut characteristic of a corrective movement, suggesting after it's over, we're gonna have yet another move up. And at that point, you are absolutely able to argue this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is a great sign, suggesting potentially, I'm not sure at the moment, potentially the final low is going to be it. On the other hand, if our move down is going to be a very strong one, maybe like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave impulsive structure, okay, that's actually going to be a bad sign, suggesting our move down overall in Jasmy is not over, and this was, after all, an ABC zigzag. So again, one way or the other, we may see a move down, but you need to pay full attention to the shape of that move. Now, if you want to have a very important invalidation point for your bullish count, I think it's actually going to be taking the loss. Why? Because if we get a move down from the current point, or maybe like a bit higher, not important, in order to take these lows, and I would say especially this one down here about 1.4 cents, at that point, how exactly are you able to show me a 5 wave up? I'm not going to say it's absolutely impossible. No, it might be possible, but the shape of that 5 wave is going to look so odd that even it's going to make you say that, you know what, it's not going to be anybody's primary case. And according to our primary count, this is once more an ABC zigzag, indicating we are probably going to have some more downward price action in the short term. So for now in Jasmy, what you want to see is a correction, yet another move up, and what you do not want to see is a strong move down in order to especially take this important low. And finally, let's zoom in more and do a quick short-term analysis in this area. There we go. So first things first, where is the highest high? Yes, it's actually right in here. And I believe maybe it's best to go on like 5-minute time frame, because this is just for the sake of educational purposes. In my own time, I rarely go on such lower time frames, but you know, this is for educational purposes, so I'm thinking it's fine. Okay, I believe this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Followed by that, we are probably having a correction, maybe a flat, maybe a WXY, not important, and this can be yet another 5 wave on the downside. Now, an early bullish sign for you in Jasmy can be having a move up starting hopefully from the current point in order to take this important high about 1.53 cents. Why? Because at that point, you can say it with a good bit of confidence that this is an ABC zigzag. On the other hand, if this turns out to be a consolidation pattern and then we get another move down, then okay, you have to kind of say this is the beginning of a move on the downside, meaning even if we are bullish and overall we're gonna have in here a correction structure, then okay, this can be on a higher degree. Let's just delete the wave so we can see the candles a bit better. Okay, like a 1 2 3 4 5 followed by that we can expect a correction up, maybe an ABC, and then unfortunately yet another move on the downside. And overall, again, even if you want to be bullish and optimistic and you want to say the final low is already in, then okay, this is going to be an ABC zigzag. So again, if in the short term we see another move down, please understand that this might be the beginning of something and not potentially right in here the end of a move down. And I hope I explained everything well and you understood what is going on in JasmyCoin's price chart. Anyway, if you found any value in my content, I would really appreciate if you like this video and consider subscribing to my channel and follow me on Twitter. And if you want more, maybe you want a complete analysis for your own specific crypto, or maybe you want to learn some decent TA in order to be able to make good money in the markets, you can become a member and ask me anything you want. And until the next update, I hope you have a wonderful time. Goodbye.